For the past 10 years, I thought I had the perfect life with my wife, Amanda. We met in college, got married right after graduation, and seemed to have it all figured out, or so I believed. Amanda was the kind of woman everyone envied, beautiful, charismatic, and seemingly loving. We had 2 great kids, stable jobs, and a nice home in the suburbs. But about a year ago, things started to feel off. Amanda became distant, always busy with work or friends, and our conversations dwindled to logistical talks about bills and schedules. I brushed it off, thinking maybe the kids were just keeping her busy or that work stress was getting to her. Then there were these little red flags. Amanda would get defensive if I asked about her phone, often hiding it or leaving it in another room. She started going out more often, saying she was attending networking events or grabbing drinks with friends. I trusted her, but a nagging feeling in the back of my mind said something wasn't right. To make matters worse, my brother, Jake, had always been the golden boy, successful, charming, and seemingly the perfect sibling. We weren't super close, but we got along. I never imagined anything could come between us. Looking back, I realize now that the signs were there, but I was too blinded by love and trust to see the truth. Little did I know, things were about to take a devastating turn that would shatter everything I thought I knew about my marriage and family. So, about 3 months into noticing Amanda's strange behavior, I received a message from my old college buddy, Mike. Mike and I hadn't talked in years, but he reached out seemingly out of the blue. At first, I was excited to reconnect, but things quickly took a dark turn. Mike started talking about how he'd been going through some personal stuff and needed someone to talk to. I was happy to lend an ear, thinking it was just a friend reaching out. A week into our conversations, Mike casually mentioned that he had recently run a DNA test for ancestry purposes, something random people do nowadays. He joked about finding out he might be related to someone unexpectedly. Curiosity got the better of me, so I decided to take a DNA test too, just for fun. A couple of weeks later, the results came back, and that's when everything fell apart. My blood ran cold when I saw the match, Amanda and Jake. I couldn't believe my eyes. It was like a punch to the gut. The realization hit me hard. Amanda had been having sex with my own brother. I double-checked the results to make sure I wasn't seeing things. Yep, there it was, clear as day. I stared at the screen for what felt like hours, trying to process the betrayal. How could Amanda lie to me like that? And Jake, my own blood, the person I was supposed to trust the most, involved in this mess. I didn't know what to do. I was furious, hurt, and utterly confused. My mind raced with questions and anger. How long had this been going on? Why didn't Amanda ever mention Jake? And why Jake? The worst part was that Amanda was always spinning some crazy tale whenever I pressed her about her whereabouts or phone usage. It all started making sense now. Feeling overwhelmed, I decided to take a break and clear my head. I went for a long drive, trying to make sense of the chaos unraveling in my life. The sky was overcast, mirroring my mood perfectly. As I drove, memories of better times flashed through my mind: our wedding, the birth of our kids, the promises we made. It all felt like a cruel joke now. By the time I got home, I knew I had to confront both Amanda and Jake. But I wasn't sure how or when. My heart pounded as I sat down, realizing that my life was about to change in ways I couldn't even imagine. One Friday evening, after the kids were tucked into bed, I decided to confront Amanda first. I needed to see her face the moment I dropped the bombshell. I walked into the living room where she was lounging on the couch, scrolling through her phone like nothing was wrong. "Amanda, we need to talk," I said, trying to keep my voice as calm as possible, though inside I was a tornado of emotions. She looked up, giving me that fake smile she always used when she felt cornered. "Sure, what's up?" I took a deep breath and pulled out the DNA test results. "I saw the results, Amanda. The DNA test shows that you've been having sex with Jake." Her face immediately shifted from feigned calm to pure annoyance. "Oh, come on. That's ridiculous. There must be some mistake." I slammed the results on the coffee table, causing her to jump. "Don't lie to me. I have every right to know the truth." She scoffed and waved her hand dismissively. "You think I'm going to admit to something like that? Maybe you should check your own genes again." My blood boiled. "Are you seriously accusing me of lying? How dare you twist this?" Amanda rolled her eyes and leaned back, crossing her arms defensively. Maybe if you weren't so controlling and always suspicious, I wouldn't have needed to find some excitement elsewhere. Jake was just there, and we hit it off. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Not only was she admitting to the affair, but she was also blaming me for her actions. Excitement? We have a stable family, 2 wonderful kids, and a good life. You threw it all away for what? A little fun with my brother? She laughed bitterly. Fun? Is that all this marriage has been to you? Boring, predictable, suffocating. I needed something more, something real. I felt a mix of rage and deep hurt. Real? You think betraying me and our family is real? You're a selfish, lying bitch, Amanda. I trusted you. Her eyes flashed with anger. At least I'm honest about what I want, unlike you, Mr. Perfect. Maybe if you loosened up a bit, you wouldn't have driven me away. Before I could respond, she got up abruptly. I don't have to listen to this. You need to get over yourself. She stormed out of the room, leaving me seething and emotionally wrecked. I knew I had to confront Jake next, but part of me was terrified of what that conversation would bring. How deep did this betrayal go? And more importantly, how was I going to get revenge on both of them? As I sat there, trying to process everything, I realized that my life was about to take a dark and twisted turn. This wasn't just about infidelity anymore, it was about reclaiming my dignity and teaching them both a lesson they wouldn't forget. I decided to approach Jake first thing Saturday morning. I called him up, trying to keep my voice steady, but my hands were shaking like crazy. To my surprise, he agreed to meet at our old family barbecue spot, a place filled with memories, both good and bad. When I arrived, there he was, grilling burgers like he always did. He looked up, a puzzled expression on his face when he saw me. Hey man, long time no see. Everything okay? I took a deep breath, steeling myself. Jake, we need to talk. It's about you and Amanda. His smile faltered, and I could see the nervousness creeping in. What are you talking about? I didn't hold back. The DNA test results are clear. You and Amanda have been having sex. How long has this been going on? Jake's face went from confusion to denial in seconds. No, that's not possible. There must be some mistake. I slapped the results down on the picnic table between us. Jake, there's no mistake. I saw them with my own eyes. How could you do this to me? He looked away, guilt evident in his eyes. Look, man, I don't know what to say. It just happened. Just happened? I echoed, incredulous. You're my brother. How could you betray me like this? Before he could respond, Amanda showed up, seemingly out of nowhere. Oh, look who decided to show up. The perfect husband, she sneered, crossing her arms. Jake and Amanda glanced at each other, a flicker of something guilt? Embarrassment, passing between them. Amanda, we need to leave, Jake said quietly, pulling her away. But I wasn't having it. No, I want to hear both of you out. You think this is funny? You think you can just waltz in here and act like everything's okay? Amanda rolled her eyes, clearly fed up with the confrontation. Whatever, man. This isn't your business anymore. At that moment, an unexpected twist occurred. Our old high school friend, Lisa, walked by and noticed the commotion. Hey guys, everything all right here? She asked, concern etched on her face. Without thinking, I vented to her about the entire situation, the infidelity, the DNA test, everything. Lisa listened intently, her eyes widening with shock. Wow, I had no idea. This is intense. Jake, clearly annoyed by the intrusion, snapped, Look, we don't need your input, Lisa. But Lisa didn't back down. Jake, are you sure about this? If there's something you need to talk about, maybe we should help each other out. Before things could escalate further, Amanda pulled out her phone and started taking pictures of us, her demeanor shifting to something more aggressive. If you think you're going to ruin our lives with your little drama, think again. Just then, my phone buzzed with a notification, a message from Mike. I glanced at it and saw that Mike had somehow found out about the affair too. Great, now Mike's in the mix, I muttered under my breath. Lisa, sensing the tension, decided it was time to leave. All right, guys, I'll give you some space. Let me know if you need anything. As she walked away, I turned back to Jake and Amanda, feeling more enraged than ever. This isn't over. I'm going to make sure you both pay for what you've done. Jake, realizing there was no way out, finally spoke up. Look, we can work this out. Please, don't make this any worse. But I wasn't listening anymore. My mind was racing with ideas on how to get back at both of them. This betrayal cut deeper than I ever imagined, and I was determined to make them regret every second of it. After that heated confrontation with Jake and Amanda at the barbecue spot, I couldn't shake off the burning desire for revenge. They had both betrayed me in the worst possible way, and I wasn't about to let them walk away unscathed. That night, sleep was the last thing on my mind. I tossed and turned, replaying every moment, every lie Amanda had fed me, every deceitful smile Jake had ever given. My mind was a whirlwind of anger, hurt, and a desperate need to reclaim some semblance of control over my shattered life. The next morning, I decided to take action. But I knew I had to be smart about this. I couldn't just lash out impulsively, it would only make things worse. Instead, I started strategizing, jotting down ideas on how to expose both of them and ensure they faced the consequences of their actions. First on my list was Amanda. She was a master at lying, always spinning some elaborate tale to cover her tracks. I needed evidence, something concrete that would leave no room for her manipulative excuses. I began digging into her phone records, emails, and social media activity. It wasn't long before I stumbled upon a series of text messages between Amanda and Jake. The conversations were filled with flirtatious remarks and plans to meet up, making their affair undeniably clear. With this evidence in hand, I planned to expose Amanda publicly. I considered various options, confronting her in front of our friends and family, leaking the messages to her employer, or even posting them on social media. The idea of humiliating her in front of everyone was satisfying, but I wanted to ensure it had a lasting impact. Meanwhile, Jake wasn't off the hook either. As my brother, he had always been someone I could rely on, and the betrayal cut even deeper. I knew he had a thriving business, and I started looking into ways to tarnish his reputation. I discovered that Jake had been skimming money from his company's accounts, something I wasn't aware of before. This revelation opened up a new avenue for revenge, financial ruin. But I wasn't done yet. I wanted to make sure that both Amanda and Jake felt the weight of their actions every single day. I decided to start small, planting seeds that would slowly erode their lives. For Amanda, I began anonymously sending threatening letters, hinting that I knew all about her affair and that she had secrets she couldn't hide forever. The fear in her eyes when she received those letters was priceless. For Jake, I found out about a few shady deals he had been involved in. I reached out to some of his business partners anonymously, sharing the information I had uncovered. The next thing I knew, Jake was facing scrutiny from investors and even a few legal threats. His once solid business was now teetering on the brink of collapse. But just when I thought things were going according to plan, an unexpected twist threw everything into chaos. One evening, as I was going through Amanda's belongings one last time, I found something that stopped me in my tracks, a hidden safe behind a framed photo. My heart raced as I tried to open it, but it was locked tight. Frustrated, I decided to leave it alone for the time being. Little did I know, Amanda had already discovered my snooping. A few days later, she confronted me, her eyes filled with anger and fear. "You think you can just ruin my life and get away with it?" she spat. "I know what you're up to, and I'm not going to let you destroy everything I built." Before I could respond, Jake showed up, backing Amanda up. "Yeah, man, you've gone too far this time," he added, his tone dripping with venom. "You're nothing but a pathetic loser, and I hope you regret ever crossing us." In that moment, I realized that my quest for revenge was turning into something much darker than I had anticipated. The lines between right and wrong were blurring, and I was beginning to lose sight of who I truly was. But the damage was already done, for both of us. As I walked away from that confrontation, I couldn't help but wonder how deep this rabbit hole would go. Would my revenge ultimately destroy me as well? Only time would tell, but one thing was certain, there was no turning back now. After Amanda confronted me about my snooping and revenge attempts, I thought I'd finally get some closure. Instead, it felt like I had opened Pandora's box. Both Amanda and Jake were furious, and their retaliation was swift and brutal. First, let's talk about Amanda. My plan to expose her infidelity by leaking the text messages seemed to work, or so I thought. I sent those messages anonymously to a few close friends and family members, expecting the scandal to spread like wildfire. And it did. Within days, everyone knew about her affair with Jake. The fallout was immediate. Amanda's reputation took a nosedive. Friends she'd known for years started avoiding her, and her social circles crumbled. Her employer got wind of the scandal too, and she was put on unpaid leave pending an internal investigation. The fear and desperation in her eyes were something I never wanted to see, but seeing her public humiliation felt oddly satisfying. But here's where things took an unexpected turn. One evening, Amanda showed up at our doorstep, looking disheveled and desperate. "We need to talk," she demanded, her voice shaking. I was ready to dismiss her, but something in her demeanor made me pause. Inside, she revealed that the hidden safe I'd found actually contained blackmail material, photos and videos from various illicit affairs she had over the years, not just with Jake. She had been using them to manipulate and control people, including Jake. It turns out, Jake wasn't the only one she'd been screwing around with. The DNA test had only revealed part of the picture. Meanwhile, Jake's business was a disaster. My anonymous tips about his financial misconduct had caught up with him. Investors started pulling out, and legal threats were coming in from all sides. One morning, I woke up to news that Jake's company was filing for bankruptcy. His once thriving empire was now in ruins, and he was left with nothing but debts and a tarnished name. But the real shocker came when Jake reached out to me. He wanted to meet, claiming he needed my help to salvage what was left of his life. I was torn between anger and a strange sense of obligation. How could I help him after everything he'd done? As if things couldn't get any crazier, Lisa, our mutual friend who had witnessed the confrontation at the barbecue, reached out to me. She revealed that she had been suspicious of both Amanda and Jake for a while and had even gathered some evidence of her own. Together, we started piecing together a bigger picture of deceit and manipulation that went beyond just the two of them. Lisa's involvement added another layer to the mess. We decided to team up, combining our resources to expose not just the affair but the entire web of lies they had spun. It felt like we were uncovering a hidden underbelly of deceit that neither Amanda nor Jake had anticipated. But here's the kicker: my quest for revenge was taking a toll on me too. The sleepless nights, the constant stress, and the moral compromises were wearing me down. I started losing focus at work, and my relationships with friends and family were strained. I was becoming the very thing I despised, consumed by anger and revenge. One night, after a particularly heated argument with Amanda and Jake, I hit rock bottom. I realized that in trying to punish them, I was sacrificing my own happiness and integrity. The lines between right and wrong had blurred so much that I couldn't see a way out. I was trapped in a cycle of vengeance that seemed impossible to break. Just when I thought things couldn't get any worse, another unexpected twist hit me. I received a package at my office containing photos of me going through Amanda's belongings, revealing my revenge plans. Someone had been watching my every move. Panic set in as I wondered who could have known about my actions. Was it Jake, Amanda, or someone else entirely? The realization that my privacy had been invaded added another layer of paranoia to the situation. I started questioning everyone around me, unsure of who to trust. The weight of the situation was crushing, and I felt like I was drowning in a sea of betrayal and deceit. As I sit here writing this, I'm grappling with the consequences of my actions. What was supposed to be a calculated revenge has turned into a nightmare that's consuming every aspect of my life. I'm starting to wonder if there's any way to salvage what's left or if I'm destined to lose everything I once held dear. First things first, I had to figure out what was in that hidden safe. Amanda had been playing a dangerous game, and it was time to expose her for the manipulative bitch she truly was. I decided to take another look at her place, this time with a bit more preparation. I knew I needed evidence, something undeniable that would finally put an end to this nightmare. Late one night, I snuck into our bedroom, heart pounding in my chest. Amanda wasn't home. She was probably off dealing with the fallout of our last confrontation. I approached the framed photo, the same one that hid the safe, and began to pry it open. To my surprise, the safe was still locked tight. Frustrated but not defeated, I left it alone for now. The next day, Lisa reached out again. "Hey, I've been thinking about what you shared last time. I might be able to help you, but we need to meet somewhere private." I agreed, and we met at a secluded coffee shop downtown. Lisa looked nervous, constantly glancing around as if she feared someone might be watching us. I did some digging on my end, she began, lowering her voice. Amanda isn't just a liar about you and Jake. She's been involved in some shady stuff for years, blackmail, fraud, you name it. The safe you found? It contains evidence that could ruin not just her, but a lot of people she's connected with. My mind was reeling. Why didn't you tell me this before? Lisa sighed. I wanted to make sure you were ready. This is bigger than just your marriage and your brother. Amanda has a network, and if we're not careful, we could get caught in something dangerous. As Lisa continued to explain, it became clear that Amanda had been orchestrating her affairs and manipulations for a long time. She had leveraged compromising information to control and exploit others, including Jake. It wasn't just about the sex, it was about power and control. Suddenly, my phone buzzed with another message from Mike. We need to talk. Urgent. I excused myself, and Lisa gave me a worried look. Be careful. I don't know who else she's got eyes on. Meeting Mike, I could see the tension in his face. Mike, what's going on? He glanced around before speaking. After you leaked the texts, Amanda reached out to me. She threatened to expose some stuff she's got on you if you didn't back off. I thought you should know. My blood ran cold. Amanda was actively trying to silence me, using her web of deceit to manipulate anyone who could help her. Determined not to be intimidated, I knew I had to take more drastic measures. With Lisa's help, we devised a plan to access the safe without alerting Amanda. We needed to find the combination or locate the key. Late that night, armed with tools and a sense of purpose, Lisa and I returned to our home. The tension was palpable as we approached the safe once more. I could feel my heart pounding louder than ever. After what felt like hours of trying different combinations and picking the lock, the safe finally clicked open. Inside, we found a treasure trove of incriminating evidence, photos, videos, financial records, and threatening letters. Amanda had documented every affair, every scam, every deceitful act she had ever committed. But there was something else, documents that revealed connections to some powerful and dangerous people. This wasn't just about personal revenge anymore, we had stumbled upon a much larger conspiracy. As we sifted through the evidence, Lisa suddenly froze, her face draining of color. Look at this, she whispered, pointing to a file labeled with a name I recognized, Jake. I couldn't believe my eyes. The documents detailed Jake's involvement in illegal activities, money laundering, and more. My brother wasn't just cheating on me, he was deeply entangled in Amanda's dark dealings. Why didn't you tell me about this? I demanded, turning to Lisa. She looked away, ashamed. I wanted to protect you, but I realize now that hiding this only made things worse. Amanda used Jake's connections to shield herself. We're in over our heads. As we delved deeper, it became clear that Amanda was the mastermind behind a complex network of deceit and corruption. She had manipulated both me and Jake, using our vulnerabilities to further her own agenda. The realization hit me hard, she was the true puppeteer, pulling strings behind the scenes to maintain her power and control. With this new information, the path forward became even more perilous. Exposing Amanda meant not only tearing down her empire but also potentially facing threats from those she was connected with. The stakes were higher than ever, and I knew I couldn't do it alone. Lisa and I decided to take our findings to a trusted journalist friend, hoping that public exposure would be the key to dismantling Amanda's network. But as we prepared to make our move, the feeling of being watched intensified. Every phone call, every shadow seemed to hint that Amanda, or someone working for her, was one step ahead. Throughout all of this, the emotional toll was immense. I felt betrayed not just by Amanda and Jake, but by the very foundation of my life. My marriage was in ruins, my brother was a criminal, and now I was entangled in a dangerous game of cat and mouse. The stress was eating me alive, and I could see the toll it was taking on my kids and my own mental health. But amidst the chaos, there was a flicker of determination. I couldn't let Amanda continue to manipulate and destroy lives, including my own. I had to find a way to bring her down, no matter the cost. Just when things seemed bleakest, an unexpected ally emerged. Detective Sarah Thompson, an old family friend, reached out to me after hearing about the turmoil I was going through. She offered to help, promising protection and resources to take down Amanda's network. Meeting with Detective Thompson provided a glimmer of hope. She believed our story and was eager to assist in the investigation. With her expertise and our evidence, we started building a case that could finally put an end to Amanda's reign of deceit. As we prepared to move forward, another twist emerged. Jake, seeing his business and reputation in ruins, approached me with a desperate plea. "I want out," he said, his voice shaky. "Help me make things right." I was torn. Despite everything, he was still my brother. Could I trust him after everything he'd done? The answer wasn't clear, but one thing was certain: the battle against Amanda was far from over, and the stakes were only getting higher. After teaming up with Detective Sarah Thompson, things began to take on a more structured approach. Detective Thompson is a no-nonsense kind of person, and her involvement brought a sense of legitimacy to our efforts. She listened patiently as I laid out all the evidence Lisa and I had gathered. From the incriminating photos and videos to the financial records exposing Jake's illegal activities, we had a mountain of proof against Amanda. "Good work so far," Sarah said, her eyes sharp with determination. "But we need to be meticulous. Amanda is clearly connected to some powerful people, and she won't hesitate to protect herself." Her words resonated with the reality I was facing. Amanda wasn't just a deceitful wife and sister-in-law, she was a mastermind with a network that could potentially destroy lives. The stakes were higher than ever, and the pressure was mounting. With Detective Thompson leading the charge, we began to methodically dismantle Amanda's empire. Sarah reached out to her contacts in law enforcement and the media, ensuring that our findings wouldn't be buried or ignored. She introduced us to a seasoned investigative journalist, Mark Reynolds, who specialized in exposing corruption and deceit. Mark was intrigued by our story and agreed to help us bring Amanda's actions to light. Together, we started compiling a comprehensive report that detailed every aspect of her manipulation and wrongdoing. It was exhausting work, but each piece of evidence we uncovered felt like a step closer to justice. Just when I thought I couldn't handle any more stress, an unexpected ally emerged: Jake. After seeing the devastation Amanda's actions had caused, he reached out to me, genuinely remorseful. "I want out," he said during a tense phone call. "I'm done being a part of this mess. Let me help you take her down." I was hesitant at first. Jake had betrayed me in the most personal way possible, and trusting him again seemed impossible. But something in his voice suggested sincerity. Maybe, just maybe, he was willing to make things right. We arranged to meet at a neutral location, a quiet cafe downtown. When Jake walked in, he looked weary, the weight of his actions etched into his face. "I know I messed up," he began, avoiding my gaze. "But I can't let Amanda continue to get away with this. I have information that can help." Jake's cooperation was a game-changer. He provided insider details about Amanda's operations, including contacts, financial transactions, and strategies she used to manipulate and control others. His first-hand knowledge gave us a deeper understanding of the extent of her deceit. One evening, as we pored over the documents Jake had provided, we discovered something shocking: a ledger detailing payments made to various individuals in exchange for their silence and cooperation. It was clear that Amanda had been buying loyalty and keeping people in check through fear and bribery. "This is bigger than we thought," Mark remarked, his brow furrowed. "If we can expose these transactions, it'll bring down not just Amanda but everyone involved." With Jake on our side, our alliance grew stronger. Detective Thompson coordinated with law enforcement to prepare for potential pushback from Amanda's network. We knew she wouldn't take lying down without a fight, and we had to be ready for anything. Mark began drafting a series of articles that would sequentially reveal the layers of Amanda's corruption. The first installment was set to go live in 2 weeks, giving us just enough time to gather more evidence and ensure everything was airtight. Amidst the mounting pressure, the emotional toll was relentless. Balancing the demands of the investigation with my responsibilities as a father was exhausting. The kids could sense the tension at home, and I struggled to maintain a semblance of normalcy for their sake. Amanda's relentless attempts to intimidate me didn't help. She sent more threatening letters, each one more menacing than the last. The fear in her eyes during our last confrontation had only deepened, and now she was actively trying to silence me through intimidation. Despite the chaos, there was a glimmer of hope. Our team was making progress, and the evidence against Amanda was piling up. The support from Detective Thompson and the media was invaluable, providing a shield against Amanda's aggressive tactics. One night, after a long day of meetings and evidence gathering, I sat down with Lisa and Jake to reflect on our progress.
"We're actually doing this," Lisa said, a hint of determination in her voice. "Amanda won't be able to hide forever."
Jake nodded, his expression serious. "I never thought I'd end up helping you like this, but I want to make things right. For both of us." Just as things were looking up, an unexpected twist threatened to derail everything. We received an anonymous tip, someone claiming to have additional evidence against us, stating that we were planning to leak the information before Amanda was ready. The message was vague but clear enough to cause panic. "Someone's trying to sabotage us," Sarah said, her face tense. "We need to be cautious and figure out who's behind this." The possibility of an internal threat added another layer of complexity to our mission.
Was it someone within Amanda's network trying to protect her, or was there someone else with their own agenda? Despite the setback, we remained committed to our goal. We tightened our security, ensuring that our communications were secure and our meetings discreet. The team worked tirelessly, each member playing a crucial role in the unfolding drama.
As the launch date for Mark's first article approached, the anticipation was palpable.
We knew that once the story went live, there would be no turning back. Amanda's network would be exposed, and the repercussions would be far-reaching.
With everything in place, we prepared for the final push. The days leading up to the article's release were a whirlwind of activity, double-checking facts, securing additional evidence, and coordinating with law enforcement to ensure our safety.
The support from friends like Mike, who had been indirectly affected by Amanda's manipulations, bolstered our resolve.
Together, we were fighting not just for personal revenge but to bring justice to everyone Amanda had wronged. With Mark set to publish his first investigative piece on Amanda's dubious activities, we knew timing was crucial. The article needed to go live at just the right moment to maximize impact and minimize any chance Amanda could counteract our efforts. Detective Thompson coordinated with law enforcement to ensure we had the necessary protection, anticipating that Amanda wouldn't take this lying down. Jake, despite our rocky history, proved invaluable. His insider knowledge of Amanda's operations provided us with the final pieces of the puzzle we needed. Together, we mapped out the key points of vulnerability within Amanda's network, her financial transactions, her blackmail schemes, and her connections to unsavory characters. Just days before the article was set to publish, we hit a major snag. Amanda's network launched a coordinated attack to discredit us. Anonymous phone calls flooded in, filled with threats and attempts to sow doubt about our credibility. It was clear they were trying to intimidate us into backing down. One evening, as I was poring over the latest threats with Sarah and Mark, Jake burst into the room, visibly shaken. "Guys, you need to see this," he said, holding up his phone. On the screen was a video of me, taken without my knowledge, looking disheveled and vulnerable, an attempt to tarnish my reputation and make me appear unstable. My heart sank. Amanda was relentless, and her tactics were becoming increasingly desperate. "We need to act fast," I said, trying to keep my composure. "We can't let them use this against us." With the threats escalating, we decided to proceed with the publication, bolstered by the support of Detective Thompson and the backing of law enforcement. Mark worked tirelessly to ensure every detail was accurate, cross-referencing our evidence to leave no room for Amanda to exploit any discrepancies. The night before the article was scheduled to go live, we held a final meeting. "This is it," Mark said, his eyes steely with determination. "Tomorrow, everything changes." I took a deep breath, feeling a mix of fear and anticipation. Let's make sure we're ready for whatever comes next. The morning sun barely peeked through the curtains as Mark hit the publish button. The article titled "Unmasking Amanda, A Web of Deceit and Corruption" spread like wildfire across social media and news outlets. Within hours, the story was everywhere. News channels, online forums, and even local newspapers picked it up. The impact was immediate and explosive. People who had been loyal to Amanda began to question her actions, and the evidence we presented left little room for doubt. Amanda's phone started ringing off the hook, calls from friends, family, and even some of her business associates who wanted to distance themselves from her. True to form, Amanda didn't take the blow quietly. Within hours of the article's publication, she retaliated by suing me for defamation, claiming that the allegations were false and damaging to her reputation. The legal battle added another layer of stress, but with Detective Thompson's support and the evidence we had, we were confident we could hold our ground. But Amanda wasn't done. She leveraged her remaining connections to launch a smear campaign against Jake, trying to tarnish his name and undermine his cooperation with us. Emails and fake profiles started appearing online, spreading lies about his involvement in shady deals that, ironically, Jake had already confessed to during our alliance. Amidst the chaos, an unexpected ally stepped forward: Emma, a former employee of Amanda who had been silenced through fear and blackmail. She reached out to us, providing first-hand accounts of Amanda's manipulative tactics and offering additional evidence to bolster our case. "She's ruining lives to maintain her grip on power," Emma said, her voice trembling with a mix of fear and determination.
"I can't take it anymore. I want out." Her testimony was a game-changer. With Emma's cooperation, we gained even more credibility, and the public sentiment began to shift decisively against Amanda. People started to see through her facade, and her once tight network began to unravel. As the weeks went by, our alliance was put to the test. Amanda's attempts to discredit us intensified, but so did our resolve. Detective Thompson coordinated with law enforcement to provide protection against any physical threats, while Mark continued to expose more layers of Amanda's deceit through his investigative journalism. Jake, battling his own demons, worked tirelessly to help dismantle Amanda's financial networks, ensuring that any remaining ties to her were cut off completely. It wasn't easy, and there were moments when the weight of everything felt unbearable, but the support from our team kept us moving forward. With Mark's articles gaining traction and Detective Thompson coordinating our efforts with law enforcement, Amanda's empire was starting to crumble. The additional evidence provided by Emma was the final nail in the coffin. Her testimony about Amanda's manipulative tactics and the incriminating documents we found had swayed public opinion significantly. One afternoon, as I was reviewing the latest reports with Sarah and Mark, Jake walked into the room, looking more determined than ever. "I've got something you need to see," he said, sliding a folder across the table. Inside were detailed records of Amanda's financial transactions and her connections to several high-profile criminals. This was the breakthrough we needed to ensure her complete downfall. Just when we thought we had everything under control, another shocking revelation surfaced. Lisa, who had been our steadfast ally, approached me with a troubled expression. "I need to tell you something," she began hesitantly. "I've been keeping a secret." My heart sank. "What is it, Lisa?" She took a deep breath. Amanda wasn't working alone. She had an accomplice within our circle, someone we never suspected. "I think it was you." I stared at her, completely blindsided. "What are you talking about?" "I've been fighting alongside you the entire time." Lisa shook her head, tears welling up in her eyes. "I found these," she said, pulling out a stack of documents. "They show that you've been manipulating evidence to ensure Amanda's downfall. You weren't just seeking revenge, you were going to take her down no matter what." I felt a mix of anger and betrayal. "That's not true." "I did everything to expose her, not to harm anyone else." Lisa looked devastated. "I trusted you. I thought we were in this together." Before I could respond, Detective Thompson walked in, having overheard the last part of our conversation. "What's going on here?" I turned to face Sarah, trying to maintain my composure. "Lisa is accusing me of manipulating evidence against Amanda." Sarah's eyes narrowed as she glanced between us. "Is this true?" I shook my head vehemently. "Absolutely not. I've been honest from the start. All the evidence we've collected has been legitimate and obtained through legal means." Lisa, still in tears, added, "I found discrepancies in the documents you provided. It looks like some information was altered to make Amanda look worse than she already is." The room fell silent as everyone absorbed the gravity of Lisa's accusations. Detective Thompson stepped forward, her expression unreadable. "We need to verify these claims immediately." Over the next few days, the atmosphere was tense. Sarah launched an internal investigation to determine the validity of Lisa's allegations. Meanwhile, Mark continued to publish articles, unaware of the brewing storm within our team. One evening, I received a call from Mark. "We've got another piece of evidence that ties Amanda to several criminal activities. This is going to blow the case wide open." I felt a flicker of hope amidst the chaos. "That's great news. Let's get it published." But just as we were about to proceed, Sarah informed me that the investigation had uncovered some irregularities in how certain evidence was handled.
It appeared that someone had tampered with the documents, making it look like I was manipulating evidence against Amanda.
Feeling cornered, I decided to confront Lisa directly. We met at a quiet park, hoping to clear the air.
Lisa, please tell me what's going on, I pleaded.
I've never done anything to harm you or our mission.
She looked away, struggling to find the right words.
I found encrypted files on your laptop, files that weren't there before.
They contain edited versions of Amanda's records, making her look even worse than the actual evidence.
I was stunned. I swear, I didn't do this. Someone must have hacked into my computer.
Before Lisa could respond, we were interrupted by a loud crash.
Amanda had somehow gotten wind of our meeting and had followed us, intent on causing more havoc.
She stormed into the park, her eyes blazing with fury.
You think you can just turn on each other and get away with ruining my life? You're all pathetic.
Amanda approached us, her demeanor aggressive and threatening.
I know about the files, Jake. I know you've been hiding something.
She turned her gaze to me, a sinister smile playing on her lips.
Care to explain?
I took a deep breath, trying to stay calm.
Amanda, I don't know what you're talking about. I've been fighting against you, not with you.
She laughed bitterly.
Don't play dumb. The files were traced back to your IP address. You thought you could manipulate the evidence and no one would notice? You're nothing but a liar.
At that moment, Detective Thompson and law enforcement officers arrived, surrounding us. Amanda, you're under arrest for obstruction of justice and tampering with evidence, Sarah announced firmly. Amanda's facade crumbled as the reality of her situation hit her.
This isn't over, she spat, before being handcuffed and led away. With Amanda finally apprehended, the investigation took a deeper dive into the tampering allegations.
It was revealed that someone within our own team had been coerced by Amanda to alter the evidence. The encrypted files on my laptop were planted by one of her loyal followers, ensuring that our alliance would crumble from within. The revelation was heartbreaking. Trust had been shattered, and our mission had been compromised by Amanda's relentless manipulation. However, with Amanda in custody, the focus shifted to rebuilding what had been broken.